So I was born in San Mateo, and my folks' first home was in the East Bay, in Union City. That's the first place that I remember, anyway. And in the late '80s, just before the big earthquake, we moved to South San Francisco, and that's where I really spent most of my formative years. Um, I have a younger brother who um, has a Down syndrome. And I found early on, having a brother that was disabled, that I don't know. I guess I think it shaped a lot of how I see the world, and helped me to, I guess, understand people who were different from myself and my own experience a little, maybe a little more than your average 44-year-old white dude.
Definitely. How
Yeah.
old were you when you started kind of getting into art or tattooing or thinking about tattooing?
Um, well, I'd always had the interest. I mean, really, like, since I can remember. I remember seeing old, like, traditional style tattooing on, like, my uncle. He had like a little, or I guess it was kind of more biker style, like the eagle, and he had like these kind of tats, and I always thought they were really cool, and then coming up at a young age, maybe 14, 15, I started finding, like, punk rock and metal and these kind of subcultures, and that was where I really started seeing tattooing, and I started buying tattoo magazines and all that. Pretty young, I mean, before I could get tattooed, so,
So you're
or at least get nice tattoos anyway. We did try some, like, homemade tattooing, being punk kids, but
so when did you get into it more like seriously?
as I got older, yeah, as I grew into my teenage years and early 20s, I started getting tattooed a ton, as soon as I was old enough to, and began working on drawing tattoo designs, stuff like that. Well, let me back up a little bit. I had been getting tattooed for a couple of years by an artist named Kevin Marr. He had began a back piece on me, and he knew that I had the interest and everything, and I was starting this big project with him, and he asked if I'd be interested in coming in and helping out around the shop, um, just answering phones, cleaning, stuff like that. um, and it grew from there. Really, I just jumped all over it.
Was that paid or unpaid?
Oh, unpaid. Yeah. I never got paid until I started tattooing. Yeah.
Okay, so more of a,
So
yeah.
at that time I was, yeah, I was helping a little bit with my father's small business, and I also
Mm.
had a job at Starbucks. And I was taking some junior college courses, so it was really busy time for me.
So that your situation is already different from other folks because you're like getting a tattoo. He knows that you have the artistic skills and he's inviting you in. Whereas most people are saying, they're 16, they're like harassing some old tattooer who's like, get out of here, kid.
Yeah, no, I know. I've had it, like, way different than a lot of people, like, hearing how difficult it's been for others. I mean, I for sure, I feel for them. I understand it's tough. It's hard to get in.
So how long were you at this shop then?
So I've never left. It's now
Oh,
my shop.
oh wow. Okay, wow.
Yeah,
So you stayed there one shop your whole career.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I've done little guest things here and there, but
Uh-huh.
yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, I probably worked for him for about 9 months, maybe a year, before he threw me out and had me start doing, like, just the little walk-in stuff of the time.
So how did you develop your skill set then? I mean, you start out doing small, basic, easy tattoos, and then do you have a style in particular, or how do you define your kind of what you're willing to do tattoo art wise?
I'm kind of all over the place with what I do, but I guess I lean towards like the traditional styles. Kevin was very big on Japanese, so I have a pretty good knowledge of Japanese tattooing as well.
Like your clientele in general, how do you find them? Like I assume that, you know, I mean, you've been at the same place over time, so that's a good start to really build up a clientele.
Yeah, yeah, that helps. I mean, social media, I hate to say it, but social media has been a complete game changer. That's really when I began to let the world see like, hey, I'm like this gay guy down here in the suburbs of San Francisco tattooing too. It's not just, you know, what San Francisco has to offer. We're everywhere, you know. I could kind of and that's really when things started to happen a little more for me, like really. And then also like, you know, the advent of like the gay dating like hookup apps, you
Mhm.
know, like gay men are so connected on these things. If you're there, you know, it links your Instagram, your blah blah blah. So um that drives a lot of people.
Yeah, talk about, you know, like sexual orientation. Like when did you first come out, or how was that process for you?
So it was long, you know. Um I mean, you know, you could tell like I don't have any of the, you know, I'm like a, you know, straight guy appearing and sounding and everything. And you know, so yeah, I mean, I knew at a young age. I thought I was bi, and I had I had experiences with women. Um and I would announce myself as bi if people really wanted to know, but I primarily publicly dated women until I really fell in love, you know.
What
Um
age are we talking
and
about?
I mean, where I'm really like publicly out to like everybody in my life and everything, probably about, you know, 32 or so, like when I'm, you know, beginning to see my partner, and we're living together and every, you know, like there's no reason not to um at that point, you know.
And did you want to say anything just about like having a partner, and how does he feel about having a tattooer partner or anything like that?
Well, my partner's amazing. He's for sure like the most supportive person I've had in my life. You know, I feel like more loved and supported than ever. Even after 10 years, it hasn't diminished, which is amazing. And yeah, he loves having a tattooer partner.
So he's wearing a lot of your work then?
Oh yeah, tons of my work. But people in my life, um, people that knew me, people that knew me knew, you know. I wasn't like ashamed, but I also wasn't like drawing gay tattoo flash and advertising myself that way, and being like a gay tattooer or whatever, you know.
How much of your artwork is like more focused on like kind of you know, like gay male imagery?
Oh. The shop is, it's more of like a street shop, but like right now it's like slowed down. So now I'm not quite as booked. I'm like, I'll take walk-ins, I'll do whatever to pay the bills. And that's not really like a gay clientele, right?
Mhm.
Um, but as far as like painting or like what I put out on Instagram, I put that stuff out more just because it gets more traction. It's what people want to see.
How much of the dating app kind of world, you know, altered your clientele?
Oh, I mean, it was huge. Yeah, I mean, I can't even really kind of quantify. I mean, I tattoo a lot of gay guys, and I mean, almost exclusively from these apps, you know, like just yeah. I mean, Instagram does quite a bit too, but I think it's more like they'll find you on like Scruff, and then that, you know, it has your Instagram on there, and that's how people see that you're a real person, you know. And they go there and they see, oh, like, oh, this person's an artist, you know. because yeah, I mean most gay guys in the Bay Area are not in San Mateo. So yeah, I get a lot of people that they travel down from San Francisco or across from Oakland. The local queer scene in the Bay, I don't think there's not really too many people doing kind of like how I'm doing it, like in this like kind of old school pinup-y traditional kind of style vein, whatever.
Yeah, there's a guy in Australia I follow called what Big Boy Tattoos. Do you know
Yeah,
his?
they are. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, I guess that's like new information to me. I've never thought about, yeah, the gay male apps driving business, but I've never heard that connection. And you're saying it's even a stronger connection than Instagram and stuff. So that's like really interesting. And that's a way to
I would,
target this kind of niche clientele.
and it translates to Instagram growth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
I haven't exactly heard that from other gay guys also, but I have heard this from straight tattooers that use, I don't know what was that, Tinder or whatever, like they link their socials to it and have had some like hits.
Like male or female or in particular, or just in general.
Well, I guess, I mean, I've worked with more like straight guys,
Okay.
so yes, they've
Because,
they've
yeah,
worked that angle as well.
it seems like with the general or hetero-oriented dating websites, like first of all, women would be scared to link their real accounts, so they would probably not do that. And then yeah, so then men might do that, but then they would have less of that kind of, client like volume, coming from Tinder or something like that. So this is like, yeah, interesting information. I never thought about that as far as the apps, and then just like the willingness to connect your social medias, and then the traction that can be driven from that. Because it's like, how do you reach an LGBT like clientele, So that's like interesting. Are you
Yeah,
involved
yeah. I
in
mean,
like, yeah,
that's
other,
what I recommend. I've recommended to, out at Queercation, like
yeah,
talking to other gay guys, like how to grow it, and like try Scruff. It worked. We got together. We kind of put this name, QTA, Queer Tattoo Alliance,
yeah.
and we're doing local art events at bars and venues. Post pandemic, I mean, Queercation kind of came out of that. It was the same group of artists.
Well, let's talk about queercation then, first of all, like, and then just, you as a collector, like, okay, so you were involved in the alliance and that kind of evolved into queercation. And then that was the main event that came out of this. And you were involved in the organizing and planning. It was like months and months and months and months of meetings and meetings. So how did it go? Like, as far as like you were one of the, organizers and involved in the plannings, and then the event happened. So what did you think of it?
I mean, to be honest, it completely blew my mind. It was well beyond what any of us could have imagined. Everybody that came was very cool. So many talented people came and talked and gave what they had to give.
My name's Joshua. I drove from Loveland, Colorado. I've been tattooing 7 years.
My name is Paisley, and I drove here from Madison, Wisconsin.
There was a lot of nerves as to whether we could pull this off, whether we could get enough people to go. Haley and Leslie were really the ones risking the most. I mean, they put up the financial risk. It really made me personally want to work hard for them. I did not want to see anybody come up with losing money on trying to do something like this. Really, I just strongly believe in my friends and their vision, and I wanted to back them up as much as I could. And the event was great. I would for sure, if I could contribute, whatever, it was great.
And so you were one of the presenters. What did you present at the event?
So I talked about queer tattooing history,
I'd like to talk about what I've been able to learn about a handful of queer tattooers from the past. I'll be honest, I'm no expert, just a big fan. And, you know, these people have made a lasting impact and helped create change in our industry.
And I did a painting, like a flash tattoo painting demonstration. I did get to catch Haley, who was great. It was like Haley's process on doing space tattoos. So it was like a lot of like coloring with Haley brought markers and everything, and a whole booklet for everybody to use and experiment with and try to make something coherent out of it. It was great. It was a lot of fun. I mean, whose presentation was probably the most fun. I mean, who, if you haven't met, you know, is just like an infectious human being, like, and I mean that in a very loving way. Like, he's just like, he's the center of attention when you walk in the room. He's amazing. He's magnetic, you know. And
what
his whole thing was making hats to distract like your clients that may be feeling pain or discomfort or whatever. So we just had to have fun, goofing off, and putting together these hats in the Who style. It was fantastic. I think they're amazing, and I think it's great that they get to be who they are, you know, and who they want to be, and I think it's amazing. And I think we all see it, you know, they're changing what tattooing is and can be. Like, I was brought up in the, you know, kind of more of like an industry shop kind of thing. So it's like, you know, tattoos are, you know, they got a black outline, they got this and that, and you know, you see like these young guys, they just throw all that shit away, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, you know, but it's great, you know, it's all valid, you know, it's all amazing. And I love that there is like a space where people can be gay or queer or whatever they want to be, you know. It's being out, you know. It really didn't exist much like just 10-15 years ago.
I just, from my previous work, just interviewing a more old school tattoo artists and the traditional way of getting in, and the apprenticeships, and you got to find someone, and there's just this expectation of hazing and harassment, and it's you know, very kind of cis het white male kind of atmosphere. And so people feel, especially like my previous work on women, like they felt really it was difficult to get into that space, and there might be a lot of sexual harassment. And so just you know, how to enter these spaces, how to get set up with clients and stuff like that. And so then the internet like provides another space where you can find clients, then you don't have to be in a more traditional shop. But what I was surprised talking to people was that they still have had these traditional experiences, traditional apprenticeships, and a lot of harassment, you know, like really young people in their 20s, just still, I mean, I guess, I don't know, like, are the majority of shops still kind of this traditional way that you know, provides this kind of barrier for more young alternative folks to get into the industry?
You know, I'm not sure. You know, that hasn't really been my experience. I have a pretty limited experience, and I am, like, you know, a white guy that comes off probably just like one of them, you know.
Well, switching to the topic of tattoo collecting. So, I mean, you mentioned like before you were legal, you were you know, doing some tattooing with your friends on each other. Is that your entry into collecting?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I mean, I had a few hand pokes, some old like punk rock stuff. They're all covered at this point. I don't have them anymore. Some part of me wishes I didn't.
What were some of those images?
Well, I mean, the best one that I had, about 16, I was in a band. We were called the Misanthropists. some people remember us.
Nice.
We did put out like a couple 7 inches and stuff. And I had a misanthropist tattoo with the logo.
And then
Yeah.
how did your collection progress?
Kind of whatever. Early on, I tended to go more for like, it was the end of the 90s there, so it was a lot of like black and tribal and bold, and then yeah, like the early 2000s, it kind of brought back like, the traditional styles. Like Ed Hardy finally put out the Sailor Jerry books, and that kind of changed my course. It changed the course of a lot of tattooers. I have a good amount of Japanese tattooing, like like the guy that taught me, that was his primary focus. I mean, I for sure have some traditional as well. Yeah, I've been tattooed by some, well-known, I guess, Bay Area folk here and there.
Is that part of, developing as an artist, is like collecting tattoos from your coworkers in the shop and learning from each other?
A big time, yeah. Like I learned a lot about traditional from this artist Justin that worked here years and years ago. But he was like, he kind of got it in my head, really. He was like, maybe you should focus on traditional because you really like it. You're good at it. And he was like, you need a focus. You need to kind of like have a thing that you're good at. And so that kind of helped me find direction. Yeah. Keep tattooing, keep hanging. I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty happy usually with how things are going. I'm very lucky. I have my shop here. I have my partner. I have a place to live, and I get to work with great people. I get to connect with other rad queer artists from the Bay, and now after Queercation from around, international even, so it's, hopefully we'll keep growing that. I would love that. I would love to do more guest spots. I would love to, get more people in my shop, working, tattooing, guesting, whatever, any of the above. And you can, if you work hard at something, you make it happen. You can deal with it, right? Like I think if you're good, if you're good enough, you absolutely should just hang with it. There's all these horrible straight white guys, if you can get out of those places and go somewhere better, go to, come. I know it's not possible for everybody, but
California.
California's nice, the West Coast is nice. You maybe I could maybe even take some help. And I would be open to mentoring an amazing young queer, we're out here, and with the power of Scruff and the internet and everything, maybe you could find your mentor out there, or
All right. Well, let's leave it there. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you for having me. It was nice to chat with you, Beverly.